we're going to go to Zanne D'Aglio. She's going to give us news from around the Twitterverse.
Yeah, so
okay.
I'm going to show some slides of our Twitter feed. It occurred to me that, I run the WDI Twitter feed, and that there's probably a lot of, or some, I don't know, participants here at FQT that aren't on Twitter. So I thought, well, let me show you what's going on, because there is quite a lot that you may or may not hear of if you're not on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter. So first of all, here's our account. If you're not familiar with it, we have been gaining slowly followers. I think we're going to reach 12,000 here very soon. We're at 11,900. Yeah, that's right. So one of the, and these are people accounts that we follow and regroup, and I retweet. One of them is Redux Magazine, and these are tweets that have occurred in the last week or so, a week and a half or so. As you probably guessed, if you're on any social media, things go by. I don't catch everything. We don't catch everything because it goes by so quickly. So a group of 20 lesbians who demonstrated in Berlin last Friday were protested by approximately 2,200 trans activists, some of whom attempted to attack them. Is this sort of the thing we always hear, right? There's 5 of us and 500 of them. The women stated that they oppose sterilization of children and asserted that they reject men as sexual partners. That's actually a video. Many of you may know, because Albano is here, that she created a WDI Afghanistan site, and as the posting of this, she already had 736 followers. So that's their account. Here's one post that she put. I woke up with this heartbreaking news, another shameful restriction on Afghan women, and the whole world is just watching. We are losing all our rights, but who cares? Can you imagine yourself instead of an Afghan woman? And this is a post about the Taliban's new restrictions. So they can't go to beauty parlors, which, yeah, sounds extreme. And it is ridiculously extreme. Here's another one. Day 649 of schools, day 189 of universities. One of the most significant forms of gender discrimination is the, I can't see it, is the something of education of girls. This reinforces patriarchal norms and contributes to the establishment of a system founded on gender segregation. Oops. So here was an interesting article, and by the way, Joe is going to putting the articles that we're sharing in the chat. So if you want to actually read the article, here's an article posted by Jen Speck. The first whistleblower speaks out in the U.S. Basically, kind of a Kay Yang thing, which was she was working with them, and now she's changed her mind, and she's wrote a really nice article about it. So that would be really interesting to check out if you're interested. And by the way, you can always, even if you don't have a Twitter account, I find that you can follow links to Twitter posts and actually see them. You can't do anything, but you can see them and follow. Click on videos and video links and things. Karadansky always is posting some great stuff. She did a podcast with Feminist Law, and she broke down the arguments that she put in her abolition of sex book. So the link is there. You can listen to that on Apple or however you listen to podcasts as well. And he says another one, there's so many wonderful posts that women and men, but mostly women put that are really say something and have a really wonderful picture. And I like this one. Feminism is the movement to liberate women as a sex class from male domination. Male control of feminism defeats the entire point. If you stand with trans, then you stand with the men who demand to have male control over women's organizations. Here's another one that there's also a link to this event. Feminist in Struggle is having on the 15th a forum on prostitution, pornography and male violence. Tickets on sale. Keep Prison Single Sex was always posting wonderful threads about anything having to do with men in women's prisons, and this was an extended thread that she posted. I just posted the tweet for you of what's going on in this case in upstate in New York, in the New York State Constitution. Here's another article that Maya Forrester posted. There was a big, huge, quite, I guess you call it a storm of male breastfeeding, support for male breastfeeding. And this article from withwomen.org is about men who think they can breastfeed. Very interesting article as well. The states, there's an gender abolition tour in 2023, and here are the locations. Philadelphia is going to be at the end of the month. I think that's the first one. And another big win for us, Maya was awarded the £100,000 reward for her winning her tribunal case. And the article there in The Guardian, you can find it. And Germany, so Ellie Arrow, who we've had on FQT before, she primarily has a blog or a Substack in German. But what she does is she posts her articles in English as a big, long Twitter feed, as a thread. So if you want to read, and this one is, oh no, maybe she does do her blog in English, but this is from Der Spiegel, which is a huge, it's kind of like Time magazine in the States. Here she posted a thread about Germany's prostitution policies, and that's her theme, and excellent. She does excellent work. And WDI India. So what we also do is just repost from our WDI affiliates. And there's about 20 of us who are in Twitter. This is an article about girls participating in the YPI program in Delhi, Mumbai, and Bengaluru. Excellent stuff as well. This video, I highly recommend you watching. This man was at a school board meeting, and this was all over Twitter. He basically provided more than several incidences to the school board, who said there's no incidents of trans and violence when trans men or men who call themselves trans go in or use women's facilities and girls' facilities. And he had, I don't know how many examples of cases of violence. It was great. He did a wonderful job. And yes, WDI Quebec we always sort of post each other's. Sometimes we do translations, and this is their response to what's going on in Afghanistan. And this is another case Rachel Mead is a social worker who spent her life working on health and social care in the health and social care sector and sanctioned by Social Work England for speaking up about women's rights during the Constitution on GRA reform. She's got a crowdfunding. All of these sort of are about freedom of speech and freedom of expression. So yeah, the link is there if you want to support her project. This is from Spain, from Catalan, I think. A translation when sometimes our translations go a little awry. It's not feminism to defend. It's not feminism to defend surrogacy. It's not feminism to defend prostitution or pornography. It's not feminism to perpetrate the patriarchal sexual hierarchy. It is not feminism to define women by their behaviors. When you hear people talk in these terms, it is not feminism. Oops, I can't see. This is WDI Colombia, another translation. Due to the recent events of the proposal of the minister, I'm not going to slash, my Spanish is not good. We want to call for us to let this particular person know that women are not merchandise and that in Colombia, there is a crime of induction into prostitution. We are waiting to hear from you tomorrow. We are waiting for you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Again, our translations, try to fix them up if I can, but the point is to get the word out in general and to show that we are an international organization. And here is another repost from WDI Norway, which is a wonderful interview with Helen Joyce on Mother Nature is a turf, as they say, reality is a turf. And then WDI Spain, a translation, not wanting to see that open the door to women's spaces to any man increases the possibility of sexual assault for us under the excuse of inclusivity or goodness is very suspicious. In reality, Ramon defends his brothers. No one is blind to sex. And this is from Radfem Italia, which is our country context run Radfem Italia. This is about Laura Carardi, who's a feminist sociologist who in 2018 wrote about surrogacy in Italy. That article is in Italian, however, there's no. And then WDI Brazil, posting about what's going on in the UK. And WDI Bahamas. Fun fact, our country contact loves watching reality television shows like Survivor, Amazing Grace, The Challenge, and Big Brother. Sign the declaration and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
It seems to me that, it's always seemed to me since we've had the internet, that radical feminists are quite anti-organizing and they're sort of distrustful of organizations, and maybe because they've been stitched up so many times by things like the socialist feminists or the liberal feminist sort of mainstream organizations. So they don't like organizing, but it seems to be like very natural area for us because this is bottom up sort of women to women just communicating, and it's really, and there are fewer gatekeepers. There's almost no gatekeepers on social media, so it's just a massive opportunity for us to get the message out. But is it true that there are no gatekeepers, or do you think there are actually gatekeepers within the Twitterverse and that are stopping our message getting out?
You know, when Elon Musk took over Twitter, you know, he reinstated some accounts that had been banned. And he supposedly supports free speech. But practically speaking, I don't think there's gatekeeping in the sense that I'm assuming what you mean is that there's somebody who is filtering, like, for example, on I think Instagram terms of service are more restrictive. And I think one of the things that is the boon and the curse of Twitter is that you can somewhat say just about almost anything, and it gets banned, and it gets, sort of marked or shadow banned or whatever, when it's out, when it goes over the top. But is that gatekeeping? It's one of those gray areas on the technical side that I haven't invested too much time in. I personally have not been, and I've said some pretty out there things, my personal account, and of course on our account, I don't do that. I don't do things that could be banned. Should be.
It's really interesting. I've just been watching a thing about the Twitter files with the Spectator video with Winston Marshall and some very famous American journalist who I've forgotten his name, who got into, when Elon Musk took over Twitter and got in and this thing, the Twitter files, they got in and got all the records, or got loads of emails of how people were being kicked off the platform. And these are two, the guy, I've forgotten his name, is quite left-wing, but Winston Marshall is right-wing, Spectator, sort of Christian type guy. But they were using quite a lot of examples of radical feminists like Meghan Murphy, Kelly J. Keane. So they refer to them as people, and then they refer to a beacon of hope of Kathleen Stock of free speech. So it's sort of interesting that the guys who are into free speech, they don't really want to talk about us, but they know that a lot of the people who were banned were feminists. So, I mean, my reading is it's quite good at the moment that we can actually say things on Twitter, but it's not guaranteed it's going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's good. And I mean, that's part of that, you paid attention to that, because that's part of how we work collectively. We have a collective knowledge that we build and we share it with each other here, but also on Twitter. So that's where social media, I mean, just eclipses any other movements in any other time period, if you think about it, because we can do things, which communicating is so important, that were never possible before.
Yeah.
And I'm not following, I'm not following the deep stuff with Elon Musk. So I'm glad that you shared that.
Another thing I was thinking is that it would be great if you did this every week, and I think you'd become an international superstar, because I just love listening to you talking about all the Twitter thing. I'm not really on Twitter, but I was really enjoying that. And I think I bet you loads of us are not on Twitter and we can't be bothered to find things.
I do wonder.
But it's fantastic. It's like people opening boxes. There's all these like mass videos of somebody opening a present, a box of chocolates, and everyone watches it. I would watch you talking about Twitter, definitely.
Well, I wonder how many women who come to this, we have 176 today, are on Twitter. Just if you're following and you care to say yes, just put yes or no, and then I'll know. Yeah. There's so many people we follow, and I don't really, to follow 1,000 and something people, I have filters so that I can get to the people, the lists they're called, that I can get to the people. The goal of this was to get what's on Twitter out to the people who aren't on Twitter. But if everybody's on Twitter, then I don't know. But okay, we can do it for you, Joe. Yeah.
No, there's loads of other not people. But it's also having that was another point I wanted to make, is that because, for instance, I know Stefanie and have met her in real life, and we've been, and Rona, and we've had videos, so we know each other, we build up trust, and we know where we stand, and we've all signed the declaration. Then we have trust in listening to the judgments. And I was thinking it's so nice knowing you, and that we're here together, and that we can trust you're a trusted voice telling us what's happening on Twitter, which makes it just much nicer than just going there, because it's you can get lost in all this just rubbish, as far as I can see. So that's a really good thing we're doing here, getting to know one another.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, one of the things that the ugly sides of social media is that it's, everybody and their brother and sister, and you don't really know what their agenda is. And you have to constantly be starting from psychologically from nothing to get to know this person. Fortunately, in Twitter, it's easy to do because you can look at their profile. I won't follow anybody until I look at their profile and look at who's following them. And if there's some trusted people who are following them, then I just go ahead and click. But this process of constantly curating people and places and things is exhaustive, in
exhausting
practice.
Or
It's
exhaustive.
exhausting and it's exhaustive.
Yeah.
So sorry. And so one needs to develop some strategies and some tactics to get through it, because I don't spend hours on Twitter at all. I have a strategy that I do, and I get through it really quickly. So yes, the curating is without a doubt a really important part of how we stay connected, and we're all saying, with the people we want to stay connected with. The algorithms basically dictate what you can see. So I have different lists because there's particular people who I want to see. I do not see, we're following 1,700 and some odd people. I don't see the vast majority of them, and I don't want to look at it because a lot of people post things that aren't relevant. I'm trying to use this account, WDI account, really focused on WDI. So I typically repost our affiliates. And then there's some key people in the Twitterverse who are doing key things. Not all, I don't get to all of them, who I think are important to highlight. And then also people who are just posting,